Welcome back to Asinine Radio, a weekly podcast where we talk about music, and, well, that's pretty much it. So, let's go!
This is Asinine Radio. This is the weekly music podcast where every week we get into a different band, different artist, and we listen to all of their records and we rank them from worst to best. We give our biggest banger from each of them and we try to have a good time doing it. But before we do that, we get into our 6 degrees of Tom DeLonge, and that's where we connect the band of the week to our boy Tom DeLonge from Blink-182. So, yeah, if you didn't already know, my name is Tyler, and way out there, hundreds of miles away, is Jeff. While you're listening, go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, give us 5 stars and 5 stars only. Please go do that. All the social media is at Asinine Radio. Tell all your friends, spread the word, share on the social medias, and that's all I got for the boring intro.
That was pretty boring.
So let's jump into the 6 degrees of Tom DeLonge. Do you have anything this week?
I do. There's the most obvious one, right, with Sting and Josh Freese, relating that to Tom.
Mine.
But there's another one too. I tried to do all 3, and then I tried to do a pattern, but then I gave up on Copeland. But Andy Summers. Did you have another one, or do you want me to go?
No, go. I'll do mine. I have a second one. So
okay. Yeah, Andy Summers. He did a jazz fusion record in the '90s, and it's called World Gone Strange. And who plays drums on that? Chad Wackerman. Who's Chad Wackerman? In the Wackerman family.
Brooks' dad.
And Brooks played with Tom DeLonge.
There you go. Damn, you got that one. Got that one good.
User.
All right. So my other one, it goes through Stuart Copeland. Stuart Copeland was in a band called Oysterhead with Les Claypool. Les Claypool and Primus did the theme song for South Park. Korn were a featured guest on a South Park episode, a whole episode about Korn. Korn also co-wrote a song with John Feldman. John Feldman to Blink, Blink to Tom. There you go. Easy peasy. I did Stuart Copeland. I am the best.
Okay.
Yeah, anyway, that's our 6 degrees of Tom DeLonge. If you didn't think it could be done, we just proved you all wrong.
We did everybody in the band. Everybody got done.
We did, yeah.
Everybody did. Sting was done. Yeah.
Sting was definitely the easiest, for sure.
That's right.
For sure.
That's right.
All right.
That's right.
Let's get into the Police. We listened to all 5 of their records. We ranked them from worst to best. Gave our biggest banger from each of them. If we even have one, I don't know. We might not. So what do you got for number 5, Jeff? Go.
Synchronicity. Their 5th, 1983. Like, none of these are bad, and it's not like I had this on the vinyls at some point. I got rid of it because I don't listen to this. It's just middle road pop. There's actually some really rad, like, Stuart Copeland beats here. I think some of his best beats are on this album, and the whole album opens up with one of his rad beats. He just got really, really good and really, really tight and just perfected his craft within the Police. And Sting throws down some of his best bass lines on this one too. But everything else I feel just falls a little bit short. It's just a little too meh. Like, my favorite parts are just the ones that sound like their first 2 albums. And that's not, I don't know, that's not what I want to hear now.
Yeah.
I want to hear them, like, progress, but I also don't want to hear this pop shit. So I guess I'm just fickle.
I get it.
So whatever. Don't care. Wrapped Around Your Finger, that was a banger. This was just one of the songs that sounded most like their first 2 records, but it's pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, Synchronicity for me too. It's my number 5. I don't think there's anything particularly bad about it. But I mean, God, I'm not gonna listen to a lot of Police. I'll probably, if I'm ever gonna put them on, I'm just gonna put on one or maybe 2 records. And Synchronicity is never gonna be one of them.
No.
Every Breath You Take. Come on, that song is just so cheesy, skippable almost. Not quite a stinker, just kind of skippable. And really, I mean, the whole record seems a little phoned in. It seems more like a Sting record. I mean, and then reading more about it, like the band, they had to record all the parts separately because none of them really got along at this point. You know, only 5 years or 6 years into being a band, and they hate each other. They've come out with 4 records prior that were wildly popular. So yeah, just to me, it just sounds all kind of phoned in, a little too poppy, a little too synthy and too 80s. And I agree with you. Some of the better parts are the parts that remind me of the first couple records. So I have no banger off this one. Overall, just kind of generic. And yeah, Synchronicity is my number 5. Oh, and also real quick, The Office, fucking Kevin's band, and that is Scrantonicity, and that's so good.
Yeah.
And they only play the Police covers. I just thought that was so. It's not even that clever. It's just fucking funny.
I think
It's just
I can't remember what I think just like because the Office ladies, I think they were supposed to be a Steve Miller band, cover band, and they couldn't get the rights to the Steve Miller songs or something happened, so they had to change to the Police.
yeah,
And that's
they did
why
not get
the
rights.
first time you see Kevin play drums, he's mouthing words that are not the song that is playing in the background.
I do remember that episode too of the Office ladies. Yeah, that you're exactly right. It's like, come on, dude! You couldn't get the rights to Steve Miller, but you could to the Police.
I
Steve
know
Miller band aren't
Steve
even that
Miller
good.
band, dude.
Come on.
Well, they're pretty good.
Anyway, they're fine, but I mean, compared to the Police, come on.
Okay.
Come on.
That's all right. Okay.
Come
on. Okay.
All right, so what do you got for number 4?
Ghost in the Machine, their 4th album. You can see a pattern forming here. 1981. This is just they have a couple transition albums. I think this is like a lost transition album. It's still rife with their first 2 records, kind of raga vibe, but there's also just a cleaner hard push to Synchronicity. So there's just it's really clean. There's no goofiness. There's no like Sting kind of stuttering in his bass lines. Everything's just really cleaned up. Someone like Copeland's also best drumming is on here, and he's gotten better, which is kind of cool to see him progress from here to Synchronicity. He's just not as tight as he was on Synchronicity, but I think he's really jazzy on this record. Like a lot of really cool like jazz beats that just don't really make a lot of sense, but are still fun to listen to. But I don't know. The best songs again are just the ones that sound like early Police, and I've had this one on the vinyls too, and I don't care. This one like does really, really well. Like it just sells well, and it's getting like great reviews. But like songs like Every Little Thing She Does, dude, at best, like at fucking best. And then it opens up with the Spirits of the Material World or whatever that song is. Like that's also just like, come on, man, you guys can do that better. So it's just
It's fine.
It's fine.
All right, yeah. Ghost in the Machine from 1981. This is also my number 4. This is the beginning of the. I don't want to say the beginning. Well, it's kind of the beginning of the end. Tensions were really high in the band, and it became more of the Sting show. They introduced more synths into the mix. Horns were introduced. Andy Summers he wasn't very pleased about that. He felt like it really was kind of becoming the Sting show rather than like a collaborative effort. And I mean, it really shows. Not to say the songs are bad, because they're not bad at all. There's not. I think there was like one bad song, or close to Stinker, and it was on Synchronicity, and it wasn't. Fucking what was I?
Yeah,
Every breath you take. It wasn't that. No, it was that world sounding song. I don't even remember the name of it, but that was sounded like the Lion King or some shit. Wasn't that good? But anyway, yeah, Ghost in the Machine. Nothing really stood out to me on this one. One of my favorite Police songs is on this record, and I don't give a shit. It's fucking Every Little Thing She Does is magic.
That song is.
I fucking love that song.
That's your favorite Police song?
It's up there, if not my favorite.
That is straight Silly Boy talk.
I fucking love this song. I think it's just a fantastic song, and that little bass slide going into the chorus, so fucking good. Damn. It's so good. But in the end, Ghost in the Machine is definitely more of a pop effort. They really stopped like pulling on the influences of their first 2 records, of the reggae, the punk stuff, the new wavy stuff. Well, they kind of did new wave on here, but it was just way more pop driven. It just wasn't. It was fine. It was just, this record's just fine. And I've had all of these records, but one of them I've had on vinyl, and I've gotten rid of all of them. So I have no Police records on vinyl. I have nothing on vinyl.
That's from okay.
The Police.
All right.
So just throwing that out there.
That's crazy. Okay.
So yeah, Ghost in the Machine, my number 4. Every Little Thing She Does is magic. Is their best song.
Wow.
So what do you got for number 3?
Zenyatta Mondatta, their 3rd album. This is like my. I think this is my favorite cover art they've done. Not that all their artwork is crazy or cool, but this is like the best of it. I like this one, the cover art the mostly. But this album has it all. It has the best of the pop stuff from like Ghost and Sync, but it also does sound like the first two. And there's a lot of really, really cool songs in here. There's a lot of really, really cool bangers.
Mm-hmm.
But it just doesn't do it the best. And it's good, but not the best. It's still a great record. And I really have nothing like negative to say about it, but it's just like, why listen to like the do, da, da, da.
Yeah, that song's a little stupid.
When I can just like throw on, like Be My Girl. And that's kind of the same silly concept, but like Be My Girl is endearing and fun and cute and stupid all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. There's nothing really wrong with this record. But Don't Stand So Close to Me, that's my favorite. That's a fucking banger of a song. I love the way Sting sings that song. I love the way Sting sings most of like the biggest hits that he do. Like the bandmates got mad that it was become the Sting show. This was always a Sting show. It really was.
True, it was. Which we'll get into on the main episode.
But yeah, this is Don't Stand So Close to Me. I just like, don't stand. I love that stuff. So good.
so
good.
Damn high. All right, my number 3 is Regatta de Blanc.
Whoa.
Second album from 1979. This one's only as low because it's not too much of a departure from the first record. And reading more about the record, a lot of when they went to go record this, they kind of had this like writer's block, or at least Sting did. So they had to pull songs from like before the first record, or kind of demos or B-sides from the first record. So like half the record is that, plus some new songs thrown in there. So it's kind of like a haphazard album, which is not a bad thing because it's still fucking great. And this record, dude, they recorded this record in 4 weeks.
Yeah.
That's
so
insane.
fast.
Like some of these records, mainly this one, and they're the first 3 records they recorded so goddamn fast. Only took about 9,000 pounds, whatever that is in American dollars, the right dollars. It cost nothing, or relatively nothing, and it took 4 weeks to record, which is just crazy to me. But it's a solid record, but it's just a little bit more of the same from the first record. My banger is No Time This Time?
Yeah.
It's one of the more the punk songs. Has a ton of surf stuff here that you could hear, just influence really. And Copeland's drums are just insane, absolutely insane on this song. Just like on the first record, which we'll dive into in a bit. But Regatta de Blanc is my number 3. So what do you got for number 2?
Yeah, that's my number 2, Regatta de Blanc. I don't have anything negative to say about this one. There's a lot more like writing going on with everybody. It's not just Sting, and so you get a record that's more layered and textured, but not as fluid. And it's good, but you can see that Sting like runs this fucking show for sure.
Oh yeah.
And if he's not doing everything, then you get like a Regatta de Blanc, just kind of like a B team Outlandos. And again, like Message in a Bottle, that's one of their fucking biggest songs. That's a banger. The title track, that's also a banger. And that was written by all 3 of them. And then, yeah, No Time This Time, the closer. That's a fucking banger of a song. But on a whole, no. This album is not as good as Outlandos. It just is not. And I don't know.
Agreed.
They had not like practiced any of these fucking songs. They literally went to the studio and was like, all right, what are we doing now? And they just like went through it one at a time. Track 1, track 2. What do we need for track 3? So like you can tell that it was just hard to push. They were hard pressed to find inspiration to write an album. Rather, as like Outlandos, they'd already been touring for a year or two. Like the stuff was forming. They were getting better. They were getting more comfortable with each other. Here, it's just kind of like, all right, let's put something out because we feel like we have to put something out. And that just never works.
Which is crazy because they put out 5 records in 5 years or something like that.
Yeah.
Or 4 years. I think it was 4 years, actually. 5 records in 4 years. So there was like no rush for them to make another record.
I mean, look at like CCR, right? Like CCR put out the same amount of albums. And I mean, everybody knows we love CCR.
Honestly, much, much better albums too.
90% of CCR sounds identical to everything else they've put out, but they're all fucking bangers.
That's true, yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with this. This is just a very niche, like subgenre of new wave, or like reggae or post punk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And these songs do sound similar a lot of the times. Like Message in a Bottle is kind of like the outlier a little bit, but it still kind of sounds like the Police, and everything sounds like the Police. It's all good, but not all of it is great, like CCR.
You're right. You're totally right. Except for the last album. Mardi Gras is not great.
I think CCR put out like 3 albums in a fucking year.
I know. It's fucking
Like,
insane.
That's silly boy
Insane.
talk.
Banger after with no stinkers, you know. Honestly, the only stinker you get is the last CCR record. No stinker songs at all up until Mardi Gras.
No, that is true. I mean,
There's not one. They're all great to perfect.
yeah,
Not even an exaggeration.
I think everything. So Cosmos was their 5th album, and everything up until then, I think, is perfect. Like their first 5 albums are damn near fucking perfect, if not perfect.
Yeah.
And then you get Pendulum,
Pendulum's still
it's-
great,
but it's not perfect. It's still got
but it's
some.
fucking great.
It's still got some cheesiness. It's still got some silliness that just doesn't hit as hard as their first 5. It's still a great album, but not great.
but it's
not
not
perfect.
fair comparing it to their other stuff when it's exponentially better than a lot of other fucking bands, especially of the time.
It is true. If you put up like Pendulum up against some other contemporaries in the early 70s, yeah, Pendulum's gonna be better.
Like look at like the Moody Blues, like another kind of blues rock band, very wildly popular, but even Pendulum is going to blow them out of the water. Every
Dude,
one of their records.
So I just looked it up as you were saying that, but the first 5 CCR released 5 albums in 2 years. So their first self-titled to
insanity.
Cosmos from fucking 2 years. What are you doing?
Oh, that's just insanity. Fucking insanity.
Wow,
Such a good band. Fuck, we should do CCR again.
dude, 68 to 72. That was their run, and then they were done. That's crazy.
I know. God, imagine seeing them at like a club show, in the early 70s. Oh, that'd be so cool. That would have been something special. But anyway, 0-2.
0-2.
My number 2 is Zenyatta Mandata. This is a third album, 1980. This one, I rank this one higher because it's more of an eclectic sounding record, much like their first record. And what's crazy too with this one, they recorded this in 3 weeks, and they literally recorded this record up until 4 a.m. of the morning that they were going out on a world tour. So they finished the record at 4 a.m. They flew out to, I think, like the Netherlands or Belgium that evening to go play their show of their world tour for the next 4 months. So like they really cut it down. They really kind of just waited until the last minute to turn this one in, which I thought was just fucking insane because this record is it's really, really good. I still don't think I'd get this on vinyl. I just don't want to listen to that much Police in one sitting, and just they just kind of did the same thing they were doing on the first record, just made it a little bit more. I don't want to say exciting, just a little bit different, and like a song like "Canary in a Coal Mine." It has this like pop, like super pop thing going on.
That sounds so good.
It's really good, but I honestly think this is the poppiest song they've ever put out. Was Canary in the Coal Mine.
It's very bouncy.
Extremely bouncy. That bass line, that lead line, oh, it's so good. And Summer's just doing those upstrokes. I just love how it's just not overly complicated, but it works. Everything works. It's just like a perfect pop song. Man in a Suitcase, third wave ska. This is straight up third wave ska.
Yeah.
This is what we started hearing in the 90s. So I mean that's a fantastic song. And then The Other Way of Stopping, really, really cool instrumental. Copeland really goes off. There's some wild double bass on this one. The only time I ever heard him do double bass out of all 5 of their albums was on this song. And it wasn't like, fucking metal, like it wasn't like Motorhead or anything like that. It was just very kind of subtle, and it was on a weird beat. Like, I don't know, man. It was rad. It was really, really cool. So I like that they tried out something a little bit different on this one, on Zenyatta, and that's why it's as high as it is. But yeah, and then also, I didn't know this, but they were Andy Summers and Sting. They were tax exiles from England, so they couldn't live there and they couldn't work there. So they recorded this album in the Netherlands because they refused to pay their taxes. So
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. I thought that was
Man.
really fucking cool. Yeah. Oh, and then also bringing it back to Sting being a little bitch. So Andy Summers wrote the song Behind My Camel, and Sting hated it, so he refused to play on it. So it's the only song I believe in the Police's catalog that Sting doesn't play the bass on. Andy Summers played the bass and guitar in this song.
Such a
because
whiner, I know.
Sting was being such a little bitch about it. So, and it's a pretty cool song. It's not terrible. It's not great, but it's fine. But I just fucking Sting, dude. Get over yourself.
If the band leader doesn't want to do it, then don't do it.
Ugh, just annoying. Even though Andy Summers is the weaker point. But, yeah, so that leads us to our number one, Outlandos D'Amore. And we're going to get into that on the main episode. So go listen to that. Thank you all for listening. Give us 5 stars. And that's it. That's all.
Sting, Jeffries.